very important for the career of Jacobe Smith.
And still undefeated, Jacobe Smith.
Welcome to UFC Unfiltered.
Please tell me that's on video. I've never been happier.
I'm made for a fucking podcast. We're dangerous. Listen to me, we're at it. Welcome to UFC Unfiltered, a UFC and Fanatics original production. Today, my Jimmy is traveling the world, spreading his comedy, and I have the great Kevin Iole with me. Kevin, you, my friend, you're leaving this beautiful. Are you leaving the sport in general? What is going on with you? You're retiring.
I'm retiring. For sure, I'm going to be off the entire month of July. Right? I was doing. I've been writing nonstop for a year and a half, right? So without any time off. So I decided to retire. Do I do freelance in the future? Maybe, it's not really in my plans right now, but I need a break. So for sure, July is just going to be golf and
golf. First of all, we're going to go over your career and sports. You were covering combat sports for the last 17 years for Yahoo Sports.
Oh, no. Well, the last year and a half, I worked for myself, KevinIole.com.
Yes.
I was at Yahoo Sports for 17 years. I was at the Las Vegas Review-Journal for 18 years before that. I first covered combat sports when I was full-time in college, and I was in 1979. And I was covering boxing matches at a Howard Johnson's. So I did a little bit of everything over the years.
We're also going to go over I have personal memories with you. Some of them not great as far as the tough times in my career. Not you personally, but I think you were there with me in Montreal. I remember.
Yep.
That was a tough night. Hey, we're going to get into it all, and I want to find out some of your favorite moments and covering the sport. And some of your wackiest. Oh, it's going to be fun. Hey, talk about a quick night's work.
Yeah.
Jose Miguel Delgado. Wow. And where's his opponent on my thing here? I'm sorry.
Hyder Amil.
Yes, he had one loss in MMA. And that was fireworks, man. I kind of felt bad for Hyder because he didn't know it was over. He didn't know what happened. He didn't know that after that knee. I don't think he knew. I think he thought he was just got in the cage.
That fight started, Matt, like 2 seconds in. And what was funny about it was Delgado was across the cage so fast, right? I mean, he was not waiting around. He was like in Hyder's face immediately. And right away, they just started going at it.
It was 26 seconds of fury. That's what it was. Let's get Jose in here and let's meet him. It's his first time on the show. I like to get to know the guys. Jose, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure. Real honor.
Hey, listen, wow. Hey, things couldn't be going better for you, kid. 26 seconds of fury. That was a thing of violence and beauty all together. How you feeling? Cloud nine after that? It has to be.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Like words can't describe that. You dream of those moments, and to get that moment on the biggest card of the year, how fucking sweet.
When you saw that you were matched up with Hyder Amil, what was your first reaction?
My head coach John Crouch came running into the restroom, yelling my name, and I was showering, just got done with the practice. I was like, this is kind of a weird time. What's up, coach? He's like, oh, you got somebody, Hyder Amil, June 28th. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, we've been wanting to fight. I've been wanting to fight. I've been asking everybody to get me a fight. And I looked him up. I studied him up, and I was like, ooh, we got a dog in front of us standing across that cage. We got to prepare accordingly.
Kevin, in the combat sports is the one time when you call someone a dog and it's a compliment.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Jose went out there, boy, and he acted like a dog because he ran across that octagon and he was ready to start throwing down immediately.
no fear. There was no. It was a lot of guys when they watch their opponent, they see what he's really good at, and then they're hesitant and they're waiting. All right, he's good at reacting like this. And there's other guys that concentrate on that with what they're gonna do. Was that more of the attitude? Like, look, I know this guy's dangerous. He has one loss, and he's but I'm gonna concentrate on what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, there was phases with that, man. Throughout the first camp, it was like, all right, he wants to pressure me up against the wall. He wants to get me in that red zone. He wants to live there and push me there. Let me get as good as I can get there defensively, be as tight defensively as I can be there. Let me learn how to crash here. And I spent like the first half of the camp doing that. And I got really sharp and I got really good. But when I was reflecting on my rounds, I was like, man, that ain't me. That's not how I fight. That ain't the best version of me either. I look good there. I'm glad I spent that phase getting equipped there, and I feel confident if the fight takes place in those zones, I'll be all right. But that's not me. I'm a pressure fighter. I put people on their back foot, and I finish the fight when people are on their back foot. So I made that switch in my head about a week out, and it worked out pretty well, I'd say.
That's a risky style to fight, right? You know, is it concerning, like when you go in against a guy that you know can finish and is good? You know, how do you balance the fact that you want to fight a style that's going to make the crowd go crazy if you succeed, but also, you know, might get you clipped some point?
I'm confident in my mechanics. I spend so many hours repping the basics of just being clean with my punch mechanics, my returns, my exits. I knew the exits were going to be big in this fight. It didn't really play out too much to where I had to showcase that, but I just knew that I was the cleaner fighter in there, and I believe I'm the cleaner fighter in there against most guys, so I'll put myself in a little bit of fire, and I feel pretty confident I'll come out on top.
You know what? Because there's really no time where, you know, when you want to hurt somebody, there's times you have to be there to get hurt. But, you don't have to stay there and take a picture to get hurt. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to put yourself in the fire. And you gotta be willing to risk it and trust in your skills. It's the guys that are so concerned with the return fire or what he's gonna do, they're getting afraid of pulling that trigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's usually maybe a guy that ran into a back fist. No, I'm fucking around. I ran into a few.
That's Shoney Carter.
You learn your lesson after a few times. But it's usually.
You got it back.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah. After a few later. Some guys are quicker they learn quicker. But yeah, man, some guys get gun shy after something like that. You know what I mean? Like if or thinking too much, over analyzing on what their opponent can do. I want to find out about your journey, man, because look, you're doing phenomenal. So in the UFC, couldn't do better. I mean, we only have one loss. Where did you first get it? When did you first get involved with the martial arts? How old were you?
It just started as being a fan, man. My older brother would always buy the boxing fights and fall in love with boxing as like a young kid, like 5, 6, 7 years old. But even then, I had no real ambition. Like I never saw myself as like, oh, one day I'd like to be a boxer. It was just cool. It was a cool thing to have everybody around the house, surrounding the TV. You see the trepidation before a big moment, before the knockout, before you could feel like a calm before the storm. And then when it erupts, when the knockout happens in a boxing fight or something spectacular happens, it was such a cool feeling. I loved that feeling. But I watched my first MMA fight like around 8, 9 years old. It was a WEC fight, and I was like, "What is this? Like these guys are throwing knees, elbows, they're kicking each other in the head. They're going into the ground. They're doing Kimuras, arm locks. Things are breaking. Things are snapping. People are going unconscious. Like it was so visceral, and I was like, whatever that is, I want that. I want to be a part of that. Like give me that." And I begged my mother for years. Like it took me about from 8 to 10 of just constantly begging her, like, "Oh, sign me up, sign me up." This is 2008, 2006 to 2008. Like I'm from a small town in Yuma, Arizona. Like where are we gonna find an MMA gym? Like but luckily enough for me, there was an MMA gym. It was run by a guy named Chance Farrar. He had fought Uriah Faber for the WC bout. So that was a big deal to have an MMA gym in Yuma, Arizona, ran by a guy that fought for a good title.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah. So my mom signed me up after like, I got all the siblings to like, rally behind me. I'm the youngest of 7. So all of them just rallied. Yeah, they all rallied behind him. We got my mom to sign me up to the gym. And then I stepped on the mats. First day of class was jiu-jitsu with my first MMA coach, Mike Garcia, black belt under Fabio Santos. And I was like, I love this. Whatever it is, this is what I want to do with my life. I'm going to dedicate everything to this.
And you were around 12 years old. 10 years old?
10 years old. Yeah, 10 years old when I stepped on the mats.
So did you do any other sports in school, or were you just at 12 years old, a nice age to start at? Did you just engulfed in the martial arts?
Yeah, once I started with MMA, that's all I did. I played all the other sports growing up. I liked everything, man. I liked soccer. I played soccer for so many years, baseball, football, basketball, but nothing had me like MMA has me.
And you started getting in competitions early, like jiu-jitsu competitions, or?
Yeah, I started early and I was terrible early. I was terrible for so long, man. I could never figure it out. I was so good. I felt like I was pretty decent at picking things up in the practice room, but just mentally when the lights were on, I couldn't compete. I couldn't figure it out. It took me a long time to develop my sense of trust in there and my sense of self in there.
Dude, you would never believe it by what happened over the weekend. So when did it start turning around all of a sudden? Because I seen personally in even jiu-jitsu, I seen guys go in there, lose their first 3-4 tournaments, then go in there and put people to sleep the next 4 tournaments. So I seen personal growth and evolution, like in my own time being a martial artist instructor. Yeah. But when did it start turning around for you? Years into competition, or?
Dude, years. Like,
that's wild, man.
After high school, like I didn't win. Like I wrestled. Once I got to high school, I focused primarily on wrestling. And I was terrible. I was even worse at wrestling than I was at everything. I was boxing and jiu-jitsu. I felt like I had a natural knack for it. I felt like I loved it. Felt like I connected well with wrestling. I was just a fish out of water. I couldn't get it going.
You wanted to burn that singlet.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the kimono, man. Jesus. But yeah, after that, and that was like the sense of, that was a real like kind of crossroads feeling of, I don't have any evidence to back this dream, really. Like, I don't have no state placement, no nothing, no this tournament, no that tournament, no All-American. I don't got any of the evidence to support that I should have this dream, that what I see, what I visualize. Since I was a little boy, I could see myself making the walk into the UFC. I could see an arena. I could see the T-Mobile Arena. T-Mobile Arena wasn't there, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
I could see it. I could feel it. I could feel those lights. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. Yeah, 18, I was like, man, like, I don't, like, competition-wise, I haven't done great. I did get better. My senior year, I did pretty well. I just didn't do as well as I wanted to do. But it was like, all right, what am I doing? What am I doing? Am I really going to go this path where I don't have any evidence to back it? And it took just, bouncing around for like a year, really. I didn't do anything for like a year after high school, bouncing around, kind of meaningless jobs, playing with this in my head over and over. And just finally, like, what am I doing? Like, this is the one thing I care more about than anything in the world. Like, I'm going to go and I'm going to give it all I got. I'm going to, wherever the chips fall, they'll fall. But I'm just going to give it all. I think it was that surrenderance. And it's a word I've been bringing up a lot. But surrendering to the process is what I think allows me to have these moments that I have now.
A feeling you never in your mind went to change course or say, all right, I have this as a backup. You stayed the course even though you weren't getting the results you were getting. Mm-hmm. And look where you are now. Is it because you gave yourself no net and you said you're going all in, putting that time in? Did it finally just start clicking?
It started clicking, and then the environments I put myself in, I decided, like, all right, what are the best doing? Where are the best? I moved out to Phoenix, Arizona. I'm from Yuma, Arizona. I came to the MMA Lab at 18 years old. I started training at 18. I got on the fight team about 6 months after being here. You put yourself in a room where Benson Anderson's going nuts, yelling at himself more so than anybody else. You see the standards that these guys hold themselves to, and it makes you realize, all right, like, more is required. Like, if you want that, everyone can, how it is more than me. Everyone can say they want it, but what are they willing to do for it? So I saw what it took. I saw what it was willing to take. Benson has a phenomenal line that he says, all it takes is everything you got. That's it. Everything you got, that's all it takes. All right.
I hear you. I felt I didn't have a net. I didn't have a net either. I didn't have a plan B. So when it was a tough day of training, I'm like, am I really worthy of this? Am I making it? I can hear you, man. but you got to be just undeterred and just keep going forward, even on the bad days, and believe in a dream that no one else believes in. It's Hollywood stuff, man. Good for you. You know what's funny? Later on, we got Jacobe Smith, and
nice.
something tells me his origin story is a little bit different than yours. This kid being an athlete, a stud wrestler with people probably assuming, he's probably a natural at the wrestling, I'd assume. So I like hearing stories of the underdog, of the stories of the guy where, all right, look, he's not lighting up the room. This guy's not winning this from day one. So it's that story of the struggle, which is very exciting, man, especially after a 26-second destruction of a stud over the weekend, man. I mean, this is talking about making your dreams come true. This is very inspiring, buddy.
Thank you.
Kevin.
Matt, I was going to just ask a question. Jose, you go out there and you get this unbelievable knockout. You're probably not even in the shower yet, and Gregory Rodriguez puts Jack Hermanson into the nether realm, and you got to all of a sudden be going, wait a minute, I had the bonus locked up, and then as it turned out, no bonus for you. What was that like when you saw what RoboCop did, and then later when you heard that, hey, no matter how great my knockout was, somebody else beat me out for the bonus?
Yeah, listen, nothing was going to take me off of that cloud nine. Would I be lying if I said I wouldn't be happy with an extra $50K in the bag? Sure. In the end, it'll all be okay. It'll all shake out. I have a lot more highlights coming, a lot more bonus-worthy performances coming, I believe, to the truth, to the fullest. Yeah, even the last fight, I was kind of hopeful. So, extra $100K in the bank account would have been nice, but it'll all work itself out in the end.
It's crazy when you're part of a card the way the other night, there was so many great stoppages.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember when I knocked out Frank Trigg, every fight after that, was going the distance. I'm like, yeah, shit, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get my mom a new kitchen. But, hey, listen, Jose, things could not be going better for you. You're in a stacked division. I mean, your style just is phenomenal for the 145-pound division. Is there anybody, look, right now, things are going great. Is it whatever body they give you next? Or if there are a stoppage like that, is there any name that's feels that is on the tip of your tongue there?
Yeah, I thought it was really important to call out a name. I gave a call out. I was looking at the top 15. Everyone seems to be booked. I really wanted Cater. Cater was my number one choice, but I seen that he had 5 booked, so I didn't mention him because what's the point? He's got somebody. I called out William Gomis, French striker. He had just fought Hyder Amil. They were in a barn burner, and I personally thought that he beat Hyder Amil in the last fight. It was a split decision loss, but I would love to fight him in Noche UFC. He's a hell of a fighter. I think I'm a hell of a fighter. I think we'd give the fans quite a show.
Listen, your style's extremely entertaining. You don't like going the distance, which is fun for the fans. Kevin, this was great, man. I like meeting the up-and-comers. And this is when they talk about the new breed of MMA fighter, this is it. A kid that grew up on the mats at 12 years old and is just a complete fighter. You know what I mean?
That's what Ilia talked about after the fight. And I think this is who he's referring to, right? He said there's a new era of MMA fighters out there. And these are people that aren't wrestlers or jiu-jitsu fighters. They're MMA fighters.
Jose, it's a different world nowadays. I know I sound like an old man. I am 51. I know I hold it well, but I'm 51. And when I literally right now at 16 years old, my daughter has better wrestling than I did when I debuted in the UFC. She says more technical. I had to learn on the job.
Same.
My wrestling, my striking, man. I was doing jiu-jitsu bum rushes up against the cage. But it's just a different time now, and I'm happy to see it, man. I see the sport grow, and you're a hell of a fighter. So, Jose Miguel Delgado, man, great to meet you, dude.
Likewise, man. A real pleasure. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Matt.
When you got something lined up, please come back on.
Absolutely. I'll be here.
All right. Congrats. Congrats on your win.
Thank you.
Take care, bro. Hey, that was great, man. I like meeting, the new up and comers, and that kid's got a future in him. And I guarantee when we get Jacobe Smith on here, people probably the second he did his first day of middle school, like, hey, listen, man, you think about fighting? What do you think? You know what I mean? Nowadays, they can see that in their future, where in the past, what are you looking for, the Olympics? That type of thing,
Yeah, 100%. When I saw him at the Contender Series, he was a guy that you just said, Matt, oh, no doubt this guy is going to be a contender in the welterweight division. I mean, you knew when you saw him that you're looking at somebody special here.
I mean, and again, he's a very explosive. I want to see that was a good next fight for him with Niko Price, because you got a durable guy that's well-rounded, So could you get him out of there? And, are you going to get exhausted doing it? And he showed he could explode at the right times. And it looked like the second round, he wasn't as fresh as the first, but he got it done. And he got that
quickness when he needed it, right? He had
exactly. He right to the pass
explosion, and I agree with that.
He saw that back, and he didn't just dive on it. He got the hooks in, and he's got that strangle, and woof, the good killer instinct. Hey, let's talk about a couple of fights. Ilia Topuria, what could you say? Well, I mean, there's something about guys that have that supreme confidence when they're saying it. They believe it. And there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And he is just extremely confident. I don't think anything he says is just designed for clicks. I feel that he backs it up. I mean, what he did to Charles Oliveira over the weekend was
scary.
Was a beautiful thing because Charles did get a hold of him, and he got a hold of him fairly early. And next thing you know, it's on the ground, and he wins the exchange of being on top. And then I see him look in the pass and get him in a crucifix, which he right away he's stapling there's little things he did in that little exchange, which was very high level in jiu-jitsu, which was excellent for fighting. Getting him he had his arms pinned. Now Charles is not easy to get pinned down. The fact that he was matching him down there for however long it was down there was impressive, because usually guys are fighting for their life down there with Charles. Right. And he did not look worried, even when he was trying to get entanglements on him. He was just clearing his knee line. He did not look frazzled or shook anywhere. So,
did you see the video that he put out on Friday night before the fight of him celebrating the win before the fight happened?
That's what I mean by somebody can look at that as arrogant, but I don't, because I just feel that he truly believes that he's the truth in there. He believes in his skill set, and there's nothing that you don't see any holes in the game right now. I mean, you don't see.
I wrote before the fight, man, and I asked Dana after the fight. I said, this guy is on such a roll. He was 16-0 with 14 finishes coming in, and the last two finishes had been Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Right then and there, you say this guy's special, but he's got the look, he can talk, he's got great striking, he's got great jiu-jitsu. There's nowhere he lacks, right? Every aspect of the game, this kid is top shelf. And I said, and I believe right now, that he is going to be like you have the successor to was Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. And then, it became somebody else, and you had Ronda Rousey and George St. Pierre and guys like that. And I think that right now he is going to be the successor to Conor McGregor as the face of this sport and as the superstar in this sport. I think that's how good he is, and that's how much extra he brings to MMA.
Kevin, the fact that you got to witness Topuria's first round KO as the final fight of your career, that's awesome.
It was.
You know what I mean? All right. I mean, that's phenomenal. That first round knockout was one of many incredible moments of UFC 317 on Saturday. And our friends at Topps are turning specific moments like that, Topuria's KO, into trading cards that you can collect. Did you know this, Kevin?
I'm just hearing it now from you.
Now, I'm going to tell you now. There will be a super short print of that card, and if you're lucky, you might just pull a version that is signed by Ilia himself.
Whoa.
So if I was you, I would go to Topps.com. That's TOPPSDOTCOM. Go ahead and sign up for notifications and make sure that you don't miss any official card releases. And if you love UFC 317, make sure you get to the UFC store and buy some merch before it sells out. You can even get Topuria and Pantoja's fight shorts to celebrate their wins. Just hop on the internet, type in UFCstore.com and get it before it's too late. We got plenty more to talk about with Ilia's big win. But you know what? We'll do that later. We got Jacobe Smith. I mean, I never met him. I want to meet him after that victory over Niko Price over the weekend.
That was impressive.
We got him ready to go. Let's get him in here. I don't think he's got a mark on him. Look at him. Jacobe Smith, nice to meet you, sir.
How you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. I mean, I think not as good as you right now.
Oh yeah, I'm a little banged up, a little sore.
I'm sure we got some bruises. You know,
the craziest part about it, I was more sore with Preston Parsons than I was with Niko Price.
What were you really?
Oh yeah.
A minute 13 when you got that KO and
yeah, that one I had to dig deep in this fight camp because I had pretty much a whole one, but that one I had a short time. I had to bust my ass.
That's what it is, man. You know, when you have something short time, I was never afraid of really getting hurt, but I would always be deathly afraid of getting tired. You know,
yeah.
I had some, you know, that's the wrong place you want to get tired. There's nowhere to go. What do? Fucking, you can't jump over the cage. You can't say, give me a second. You got somebody looking to elbow your face. Do you ever get nervous taking something on short notice for that reason?
The nerves set in instantly whenever I get a short notice. And then it only gets better from there. Like the worst is the initiating, being told that it's going to be short notice.
You know what's so great about coming from a wrestling background is that you guys are so used to being under the lights and competing how many times a season? Like it's just you're so used to being under those lights, competing in front of people. I don't care if it's chess or combat sports. Whenever you're under that, doing something that's normally not as stressful in the wrestling room, but whenever you're under those hot lights and you get used to competing, it just does something to your nerves, even when it's a different sport like MMA, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure it does, especially when you're wearing and tearing your body and depleting it and then trying to recover. And then with how hard it is to find the good food to recover, you know, nowadays, it's definitely a process.
Now, we just had on a gentleman who was Jose Delgado, Miguel Delgado, who just fought over the weekend. And we were going over his origin story. And it was a kid that he was at 12 years old, got into martial arts, and he didn't exactly light the mats on fire and was questioning if it's for him. And you know, then next thing you know, it clicked. I just told Kevin, I go, I feel your origin story is way different. Now, when you got involved with wrestling, how old were you?
12 years old.
Okay, same age as our friend Jose. Now, I have a feeling were you a natural right off the bat?
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Literally.
Okay. All right. So there we go. So when did you watch your first MMA fight?
I was a junior at Oklahoma State, I believe.
Oh.
And it was a Daniel Cormier fight, I believe. I forgot who it was against, but yeah, it was a Daniel. DC was one of my first fights, and I was at Oklahoma State, literally.
It's wild that you didn't get exposed to this earlier.
Like 7 or 8 years ago, that was then.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my daddy fought. He was a tough man fighter around Oklahoma, so I knew about fighting, but I didn't know about like UFC because in those tough man tournaments, you can kick and punch pretty much. That's the gist of it. It wasn't no jujitsu, you know, it wasn't like sanctioned like a mixed martial arts fight. So, I mean, I've always been around fighting, but once I knew the UFC got introduced to me, I fell in love with fighting, and I knew I was like, I'm gonna do that shit one day for sure.
Now you're so natural with the striking. When did you first start messing around? Because there's nothing. A great combination's a grappler with heavy hands. Shit, it got me a title.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes you're just blessed with those heavy hands, and even how you are after taking a punch with a fight or flight, or you just don't have it in you. Wrestlers got that grit. A lot of times they make that transition easy. How was it when you started transitioning to the striking, and how old were you with that?
I started striking before I started wrestling.
Oh, really? Would you boxing? Yeah. Boxing?
Well, I have a brother that my dad had with another woman. He didn't find out about him until later. So I ended up meeting my half brother growing up, and he was a Golden Gloves champ.
Get out.
And I couldn't enter sports due to having bad asthma and stuff. So, my daddy would have us at home getting it. Was that a style? Was that wrestling versus boxing? What was that? Did you? What the crazy thing is, my daddy was a JUCO, or not a JUCO, a national champ in wrestling. And he didn't tell me about wrestling until I entered it. I didn't know nothing about wrestling. Okay. And I got in it. Team Oklahoma gave me a team shirt. His name was on the back of the shirt. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And he was like, yeah, I was a national champ. And that's how I found out my daddy wrestled. Well, but growing up, he played football, and we was on the road, and he would get drafted by a new team, and then, was close to playing NFL, and, I just followed football. And then whenever I got released by the doctors, wrestling was my thing. You obviously you have it in your blood. Your dad sounds like a natural athlete. Yeah, and my mom is too. She was in the Junior Olympics for volleyball. And really? Oh, hey, listen, man, what are we talking about here? This is like it's like he's made in a lab with this. You're destined for this. Oh yeah. And can I just add, like, like when we talk about like the old school, let's say old school boxers, the heavyweights, how there's an evolution. Okay, you talk about Rocky Marciano. What was he? $190 tops?
Yeah, 185, 190.
Then you look at Tyson, and then you look at Lennox Lewis. I won the welterweight title. Oh yeah. I'm 5'6", right? You know what I mean? I thought you were taller than that. No, Jay.
Well, you haven't been in person.
Hold on, I'm lightheaded right now. So I'm 5'6", 170. I fought at lightweight. Mm-hmm. And after I win a fight, I would do a little one-handed cartwheel thing. Hey, if I would have seen him walk in the cage, I would never do that thing again. It's so embarrassing. I mean, nonchalantly, Kevin, he walks in, he does just a backflip. I'm like, what? Can anybody else see that? Can I rewind that?
Matt, you should have seen his exit. You should have seen when he was walking back to the locker room, the dance he was doing.
Oh, man. Well, listen. All I know is 6'2", 170 pounds. That's about right. I'm glad I'm retired. So, Jacobe, man, you got dynamite in your hands. Your wrestling is top notch. How do we take to jiu-jitsu? Are we taking some Kimura? I can see you as a Kimura man.
I'm about to fall in love with it all, man. Listen to this. Before we transitioned over to moving to Fortis MMA, we were out there at AKA with DC and them Russians. Yuri?
Yes.
They put me in there with him and Islam, and we went in a group one day. I couldn't survive more than 10 seconds without tapping. Like every 10 seconds, they had me in there tapping. Every 10 seconds, they had me. And I'm like, dude, what the hell is this? Let's wrestle. And then we go to transition into wrestling, and then, I have a little bit more success. And I'm like, I've built myself in this wrestling. I've built myself with the hands, Keep torturing me, y'all. So I kept showing up,
Yeah.
In a cast, literally. Had hand surgery, knee surgery. Oklahoma State paid for that. I transitioned. I moved to California. I was training with a cast on, getting submitted, out there wrestling with the greatest, And
yes.
That's what got me to the point where I could understand the jiu-jitsu and stuff. And it's only going to get better because I'm falling in love with it now.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, you're getting them down there either with your punches or your takedowns. They're going down there either way. Mm-hmm. So I can't wait to see that part of your game. That's going to
it's going to be a good journey for sure.
And the journey's going smooth as F right now. I mean, we don't have any losses. How do we challenge ourselves? Like, when it's not broke, we don't fix it. Are we just improving our craft every day? Are we just staying to improve our craft? Because sometimes when things are going so right, it's like, hey, man, why not just keep, doing what I'm doing and not have as much as a fire under you?
Yeah, everybody got their inner demons, and you got to be truthful with yourself, and I don't do enough. Like, I feel like I haven't even put in half the work that I should be putting in. It's just God given. But that International Fight Week lit something under me, and I'm about to start busting my ass, and y'all about to see a different beast. Because for Preston Parsons, I did come off the couch. For this guy, I did have a full 2 months or so, but not knowing the opponent and stuff, most of my training's going on. I'm training at home, majority of my camp is here alone, and I'm just figuring shit out on my own. But now that everybody's seeing what I'm capable of, everybody, my coaches, I'm telling them, y'all need to hold me more accountable. Get in my ass. Let's get professional. I'm trying to show up with people like Ilia Topuria, Jacobe's masseuse, Jacobe's this, Jacobe's, and make this shit professional, because the God-given has shown y'all, but the work can still be ramped up for sure.
Jacobe, what was it that you saw in International Fight Week? Was it the way Ilia carried himself, the way Pantoja carried himself? Was it just the whole spectacle of the week that motivated you so much?
It's just being around the atmosphere of y'all, because kind of like how I was born in the ghetto, and wrestling introduced me to Oklahoma State in a sense, and I got to experience a different life and a college life and all that. Starting fighting, fighting on the local Oklahoma, transitioning into Texas, and it's like I'm seeing that evolution all over again, and I respect it so much. Like, I understand the professionalism and with everybody, and I'm just living this shit up because I love it.
Hey, Jacobe, especially when we get somebody new on here, I like to get to know them a little bit. When you're not training and working on your craft, fighting, what's some of the hobbies you like to do? Are you a video game guy? You reading books? Something you're watching on Netflix? Talk to me. Video games?
I play PUBG a lot. That's my number one game, man.
I love PUBG. I play. So, Kevin, I know we lost you on this, but
I'm leaving. I'm out.
Hey, listen, Jacobe, if you the next time you get a bonus with your knockout, if you get a MetaQuest 3, Contractors Showdown, it's like Modern Warfare, PUBG. You go out of the plane with your parachute, you land with your with the headset on.
Tactical.
It's so I like the first person.
I love it, dude. I'll be in here, my wife in their sleep, 2 a.m. I'm like, she like, Jacobe, shut it up. I'm like, sorry, babe.
I can relate. My wife, when I'm in there talking to my squad, my wife would come and hit me in my nuts and be like, "You're such a nerd." But hey, we gotta unwind. I'm in a house of women. I gotta just escape. So I
also golf a lot.
Now listen, guys get obsessed with the golf.
Yes.
It's quite the commitment, isn't it? Because isn't that like, I've only done miniature. I don't got 6 hours to even figure out which club to use. I don't think I'd be good at it, Yeah, but anyway, guys love it. DC loves it. You hear a lot. Justin Gaethje, I heard, loves it. What is it about golfing that you're digging?
The whack and then the fuck. Whack, fuck, and then be like, I know I'm gonna master this. I don't know when, but I'm about to master this. Literally, before I moved out and started training and became a fighter, my wife was a dietitian and I was a stay-at-home dad. I homeschool my kids. I do all this.
Nice.
Hey, y'all, get up. And we live by a highway with a big ass field. Every day we're out there golfing. Me and my son golfing. I learned how to hit draws, fades. I mean, I can fucking golf, bro. And one time me and DC went golfing in Gilroy, California.
Okay.
Kyle Crutchmer, Nick, all of us. It was a big group. And DC was like, whoever hits the green, I'll give you some money, We all drove. I think, I don't know if I was the last one or somebody went after me, but I drove off this big ass mountain and I'm the only one that hits the green, you know, and DC is going crazy. I'm like, yeah, show me the money, you know, because I did not think I wasn't good back then, but now I take it to heart because it's one of my fun things I like to do.
To get ready for the upcoming Happy Gilmore 2, me and my family last night were watching Happy Gilmore. Only because we're on the topic of golf.
That's gonna be great. That's gonna be great.
That. I hope. I love that. I love anything with Adam Sandler, but I love the Happy Gilmore.
I think that's Happy Gilmore 3 you're going to be in.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
just add the 2.
When I teach my jiu-jitsu, I'm always like, you guys ever see Happy Gilmore? It's all in the hips. I'm doing the elbow escape. It's great. Mm-hmm. Hey. Anybody on your radar? The world took notice the other day. That's how you do it. By taking out a guy. People know Niko Price. And now they've seen what you've done to him. Durable guy. A guy known that could weather a storm and get guys in the deep waters and take them out. And, you know, the timing on that, we were just talking about your jiu-jitsu. The timing on that strangle was excellent. You didn't, the positioning, the window was open for a second and you just took it. You know what I mean? So it was a beautiful timing on that because he's not in that quick tap club. If he's not going to sleep, he ain't tapping.
Yeah.
Anybody on the radar right now?
I mean, I could say everybody and anybody, you know, but the more I think about it and I literally watched it before I got on here. I rewatched my fight finally with Niko, and I listened to the commentating and stuff and how DC was like asking me what did I think I was ready for. I think I'm ready for top 7, me being honest with myself, top 7 opponents, you know. But like he was saying when he was commentating, don't rush it. Enjoy this process, Jacobe. You don't want to rush like Bo Nickel did and that kind of, you know, put me back into my humanity, you know, and made me think like, obviously I'm ready for, if there's an opportunity, I'm the next Niko Price. I'm the crazy man. Let's go. You know, I'm ready next week.
Yeah.
But also I can't just be doing that because I got a team that's, you know, so just
it's
send me the name and I'll scope them out. I'll start watching video and taking this shit professional for sure.
It feels good to be getting paid for this because it looks like you enjoy your job here.
Oh yeah, I love this, man. I mean, I love it. I'm taken care of, and I respect the whole organization, man. It's great.
There's one thing about especially again, I bring it back to wrestlers. They got that work ethic in them. You know, like one of the first things what you're saying is, I feel like I can do more. I want my coaches to get in my ass. I feel that's a wrestling thing. Jiu-jitsu guys can be lazy. You know what I mean? Kickboxers don't want to do their jiu-jitsu, but the wrestlers, I feel they got that grit in them that are just like, give me a log. I want to go up bleachers.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm a version of all of them. I'm a wrestler at heart and core, but I definitely got those lazy tactics, you know, where I'm standing up and striking. I got straight legs. I don't want to wrestle because I know how much more tired I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
You know, and then the coach like, Kyle, get over here, get on his ass, wrestle him, make him wrestle, you know. He ain't listening, he ain't bending his legs, or he trying to grab and pull and just lay on top. And I'm like,
only guys that wrestled could really appreciate what like a guy like Marab does with the shot. He shoots in 30 times. You're like, hey, man. Because some guys, I had one fight. We had a guy, John Vellante, great guy.
Yeah.
And heavy hands. And he used to wrestle in high school. It wasn't bad in junior and middle school. Never would do it. He had heavy hands. And he would just rely on the striking because he's like, it's tiring. He was a very honest guy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm honest with you.
Like, dude, we'll do it in sparring. It'll be less anyway. But hey, you're not afraid to work hard so far. And you would Sayif Saud, right?
Yes, sir.
You're in good hands. He knows.
Absolutely.
Listen, hey, Jacobe Smith, I can't wait to see what's next for you. Kevin, anything else for this gentleman? I can't wait.
I just want to run by the top 7 in the welterweight division and get your thoughts on, because you mentioned the top 7. I think the welterweights right now, Matt, might be one of the best divisions there is. You got Jack Della Maddalena, the champion. I'm going to throw Islam Makhachev in there since he's going to fight for the title. Then you have Bilal Muhammad, Sean Brady, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman, Ian Gary, Michael Morales, and Joaquin Buckley. And right behind them is Colby Covington. I mean, that is a murderer's row, Jacobe. You're ready for that level of competition at this point?
Give me Ian Gary. If I'm being cranky and give me Ian Gary. Give me him. I want him. I want him bad.
I feel I'm not going to misquote you when I'm saying that anybody could get it, Jacoby.
Yeah.
Yes. And listen, it's exciting times. We got, you know what I mean? I can't wait to see what's next for you. When you do have something lined up, please come back on.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Hey, great meeting you, bro. Great
Nice
meeting you. Congrats, man. Enjoy this.
I will for sure, you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Nah, very nice to meet you, Jacobe Smith.
Absolutely.
All right, dude. Take care.
Enjoy it.
All our
I'm
best.
gonna enjoy it.
Enjoy it, dude. Congrats.
Yes, sir.
That was fantastic. Hey, these up and coming kids are just a problem. You know what I mean?
Matt, the one thing I feel bad about retiring now is when you look at the next generation of fighters. Like I mentioned Michael Morales in that welterweight group. I think Michael Morales is just, I don't know if you've talked to him yet, but unbelievable prospect. And there's so many, Ian Gary has been, now fought in some big fight cards and people know what he's all about. But he's another guy that I think, you just look at that list that I read off, is just incredible. And below that, even, Matt, look below that in the welterweight division, Gilbert Burns, Gilbert's kind of on his lax legs, but Jeff Neal, Wonderboy Thompson, Carlos Prates, Kevin Holland, Michael Page. I mean, it is incredible in that division right now. So we're going for some really good fights.
The future is bright. I look forward to every weekend. I really do. A couple of things. I'm not a braggart, but let me just tell you, Alexandra Pantoja, I'm a huge fan.
Yes.
And I predicted it. I predicted third round and I predicted rear naked choke. So I'm not bragging, but I am a little bit. If Jimmy was on the show, I would put it in his face more because I like to do that. But I'm just a huge fan of Alexandra Pantoja. I feel the way he's aggressive with his strikes. He throws not just one, but he throws 8, and then he uses that to get to you. And I mean, he was just, it looked like a bum rush, but it was a barrage of strikes. And his opponents get afraid to strike back because the second he does, he's lightning in on the shots and the takedowns. And the way he blends it together, and his jiu-jitsu is such top notch, not just the subs, but the control to get to the submissions. The way he's kicking those legs out, scooting back, getting those hooks in, getting that body triangle. It's really high level stuff.
Yeah, Pantoja is an incredible fighter. He's Dan Lambert told me last week. He said there's no harder worker at ATT than Sanjay Pantoja. Said he's the guy that is in every class, does every drill, always the hardest worker in every room that he's in. He said him and Kayla Harrison are the two that are head and shoulders above the others in terms of effort. And I asked Pantoja about that. I brought that up to him Saturday night after the fight, and he brought up. He says, Joshua Van just had an incredible performance and is going to fight for the title. He's 23. He goes, what I was doing when I was 23, washing dishes. He says, so he goes, I appreciate it now at my age, and I know what I need to do to be the best in the world. And I don't think Kai Kara France was the guy to show as good as Pantoja looked. I think he has another level to get to. I don't think, Kai was a guy with power and not much else. And I think now when you look at some of the other guys coming in, I think that's where you're going to see Pantoja step up and shine. I
feel a little bad in a sense where I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's making money. I'm happy he's defending that title. How many times has he defended it now?
This was 4th.
So, I mean, look at that.
5-0 title fights, 4 defenses.
I feel he should be talked about more. unfortunately, you have not unfortunately, but unfortunately for him, he gets a little outshined because you got Ilia Topuria making history the way he's making with his list of victories and now becoming a double champ. You know what I mean? That outshines something where he just had a brilliant defense to his title, and I feel I'm the only guy talking about it. I mean, Kevin, he deserves the shine. We talk about Merab, who was working construction when he was in the UFC. Pantoja was doing Uber Eats when he was in the UFC. He was, you know what I mean? I mean, yes. This is a success story out of Hollywood. This is a kid from Brazil with no money, and now look what he's doing on top of the world, defending his title time after time in impressive fashion. I just think that Alexandre Pantoja should just be, celebrated. The
last quick thing I would say about Pantoja is I think he's kind of a victim of circumstance on where he is on the card. He's in that co-main event. So you have Ilia Topuria coming after you. And, no matter who won that fight, Charles Oliveira would have, if he takes out Ilia, is going to be even a bigger star. He's already a star. And so I think, when you're in that co-main event slot, everybody's geared toward that main event, and they're going to talk about that. And so I think, maybe in his next show, Matt, if they put him in a main event somewhere, because the flyweights are now starting to develop and they have a following where they didn't before, right? Everybody knew how good Demetrius Johnson was, but not a lot of people wanted to watch the flyweights compete. I think now we're in a position where the division has a lot of fun, entertaining bouts, and Joshua Van has really built up a lot of street cred, and I think that's going to be a main fight. If they put that in a main event, I think he'll get what he deserves.
Joshua Van is answering the call every time, and he's looking impressive. Now, this was quite the test with Brandon Royval, and Royval was in that fight from beginning to end. I know there was a 30-27 in there, and it could be rightfully so, but it was a lot closer than that. It
was one of the great fights in UFC history. There's no
doubt. And Royval wasn't backing down. He was doing his own combinations and landing. Joshua Van is just his timing on his, and I love it because he's a shorter fighter, but he has such accuracy with his strikes. So popping his punches, and he goes forward. He just is really. I'm really just super impressed by this kid. I mean, I'm trying to think of a better word than that. He's just fucking. He just burst on the scene, and next thing you know, within 6 months, look where he's at. He could be fighting for a title. From when you're right. I mean, look at this.
Well, he fought at 316 and gets a nice win over Bruno Silva, comes back at 317, and he does that to Brandon Royval, who was the number one contender. And Brandon Royval was coming off a very good win himself over Tatsuro Taira, another great prospect. Keep an eye on Tatsuro Taira. So when you see that, Matt, and you're going, he's beating these kind of fighters. And I was sitting there, 10 feet away from the octagon, and I saw the first time that Van connected, and you saw the eyes go on Brandon Royval. And I said, oh boy, this guy is a little bit different than everybody else.
And and he was fighting him tooth and nail, Brandon Royval. And it was just, he was just getting a little bit of the better of the exchanges, Joshua. And then he had some better, bigger moments too, with a knockdown, and how that third round ended, where it was a competitive round. Right. And the way he put that stamp on it with that knockdown, you saw him. Brandon got it. He's like, shit. He was because he was in that fight. And I'll tell you, that's a great growing fight with a victory, well-deserved victory. But that's a great growing fight for Joshua. He's so young.
He's going to take that and he's going to say, hey, who's going to beat me? This guy's beaten champions. He's been right at the top of that division for a long time, and there's a crowd at the top of that division. Brandon Moreno is now back and looking good. And, there's a lot of people right up at that top. And man, Joshua Van just forced his way in. He didn't just kind of come in the back door. He just broke the doors open and got in there.
Some guys, when they come in, they make a splash. Some guys, it takes a while. They get their legs, and also people get to recognize them, and they have that fight to break through. This kid's on the fast path, and he's just looking better and better, and he's taking short notice fights, and it's just super impressed with him. I'm very happy for Beneil Dariush. He righted the ship. He needed this, and Renato Moicano was dangerous, and it's a good fight for Beneil just to get back. You know what I mean? In a sense where I picked him to win. There was a couple of moments in there where Renato he started to fade faster, quicker than Beneil, but he had some moments in there, some good right hands.
What do you think? I wondered during the fight. I thought Moicano won the first round, and then I thought, Dariush kind of imposed his will in rounds 2 and 3 on Moicano. And I wondered myself, I'm not making an excuse for Moicano, but I wondered if, fighting Makhachev the way he did took something out of him, right? Because he takes Makhachev on without a training camp for Makhachev. He goes in there and fights him on what it was like 40 hours notice, and when Sarukian couldn't make weight. And I just wonder if, in fact, that took something out of Renato Moicano, like he'd peaked to that point, and after getting choked out and beaten up the way he did, if he was not the same guy on fight night.
Renato Moicano was saying before the fight that, this is Beneil Dariush. He plays it up a little bit with the Money Moicano stuff.
Great, yeah.
But, this is not Islam Makhachev. This is, you saw me in there with the best. He's basically saying, this is Beneil. I'm the only old man on this card. He's making jokes, But, he did fight the very best and the best on short notice. So he knew that going in. So to fight Beneil, he seemed confident. He had a camp. He knew who he was fighting. He looked game, but I don't know about it. He started to fade. Yeah, a lot quicker. So that's on him with the camp. I don't know, but I don't think it was a confidence thing. It looked more of a conditioning thing. That's what that was my gut instinct, because he didn't look really gun shy. He was trying.
I didn't think he did, but I wondered, sometimes guys get the fight beat out of them after a while, right? You have so many fights, and then after that point, you're not the same fighter anymore, right? And that's knowing when to get out. Not to say that he should get out now, but I'm just wondering, was that kind of, because was on, what was it, a 4 or 5 fight win streak, and beat a lot of really good guys going into the fight with Makhachev. And so I just wonder, maybe if that was kind of his peak, and now we're starting to see the backside of it.
Well, I think the next fight will be the tell, because was this a conditioning thing? Is he losing you have to want to be, listen, Money Moicano, we want the money, but you have to want to be in there for the right reasons, because it'll show. Although, you know what I mean? Because I feel, I don't know. I feel like by that second round, there was a lot less oomph in there with him,
right.
But hey, listen, it's tiring stuff. We have to mention really quick, because I felt Felipe Lima was in that fight with Peyton Talbot. I was very impressed with Talbot, especially in the grappling. But I felt Felipe, if he believed in, I know I'll tell you, Talbot is almost unconcerned with what's coming back at him. He's on a mission like a Terminator to try to put his hands on you. And he's accurate, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic. So that could be scary. But when Felipe was letting him go, he was landing. And you know what I mean? He was landing some good combinations. And I think maybe sometimes, because I sparred guys like this, you hit them with a good shot and then they keep coming. That could get in your head a little bit.
I think this is an example of good matchmaking, because Talbot's coming off that terrible performance against Hani Barcelos, right? He really got worked in the grappling, and just, it was not a great performance by him. Now they put him in with they didn't give him an easy fight. They didn't say, okay, we're going to put you in there. I think they said to him mentally by the matchup they gave him, we believe in you. We think you're good. We think you're a prospect, because look who we put you in. And Lima was not intimidated. He fought an Octagon, which is, Octagon could be the second number 2 promotion in the world right now, right? They get huge crowds, and it's a big show.
Yes. Everybody
wants to say PFL because they're American and the whole 9 yards, but Octagon is doing a lot of really good things. And so it could be them, and they showed confidence in Peyton, and I think Peyton picked up on that, and he exuded the confidence in the Octagon when he fought.
Listen, I like that he made the corrections. He's a young kid, and he seems very intelligent with the game. I like that Talbot. I want to see what's next with him. There's so many new up and comers that I feel just like are going to be breakout superstars, man. That guy Talbot, he's got the look too. That Talbot kid. No,
he's something else. And have you read his story? He's got a crazy backstory.
Oh, we had him on here before. We like having him on. He's got a lot of zen. For a young kid, he's got a lot of zen. Hey, by the way, quick, I just want to add really quick, because we like him. He's a friend of the show, RoboCop. Gregory Rodriguez. Props to RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez. That was like we said before, world-class grappling with heavy hands is a problem.
Jack Hermanson was out for, one of the doctors told me, out for 2 minutes.
That's scary. Herb Dean tried. He tried to grab him by the waist, but that last shot that came down, you don't want to say unnecessary, because you have to, when you're the fighter, it's like you want to eliminate the threat, because if you don't, you can get hurt. It's like he's, and that guy is such a sweetheart, RoboCop, that he's not.
Oh, one of the best.
Such a nice guy. But you have to try to eliminate that threat. So it's up to the ref to get in there. And to Herb Dean's credit, he did have him around the waist. He tried, but that last shot or two got
a half step back, right? And I think, if Herb looks at that, he would say, hey, I should have been a little closer than I was right at that point. And maybe moved a little quicker than he did at that point.
I feel, yeah.
Thankfully, Dana said after the fight that Jack is good. So he checked out okay.
Man, well, that was scary, but props to Gregory Rodriguez. Hey, let me ask you, because listen, like we talked about before, Kevin, you were around this sport forever. I remember with you. Were you in Houston, or you just ended up at the rematch?
Both.
Oh, thank goodness. Let's just talk about the first one. No, I'm only kidding. No, we shared good moments together, bad moments together. Hey, let me ask you, because you've been around so long, some of your most iconic moments in the UFC, covering the UFC, anything that stands out? There's
a few. I think the first one is Ken Shamrock versus Tito, right? Because that was that was the moment you said this sport might work. Right. Yeah. More than any other. Not that the fight was that great or anything, but the buildup was incredible.
Yes.
Tito was on top. Ken Shamrock's coming off the WWF at the time, the world's most dangerous man gimmick and all that, and he had the cred from the early days of the UFC, and the people bought it, right? There was a huge crowd at the MGM. And I remember that was the first time. That was 3 or 4 years into me covering. And a lot of people were talking to me about that fight, which used to be in those days. People would ask me, what do you think of boxing, right? And they would never ask me about what I thought of a UFC fight. And that was the one. So I would say that fight in particular was one. The first show at Madison Square Garden, right? The iconic, after all the years there, and then Conor McGregor doing, what he did in that fight. And then, I don't want to make it the Conor McGregor show, but I think his win over Jose Aldo, right? That what was a 13-second knockout.
Yes.
That was something.
After their world tour lead up,
and Conor got into Jose's head so bad. And remember, Jose tried to steal the belt, or Conor stole the belt, and Jose went after him, tried to get it back. And he was so upset. And that's when you knew, boy, Conor was in this guy's head big time. And Jose, is an ultimate consummate professional and didn't fight professionally in that fight. He wanted to kill him, and he lost his cool, and Conor took advantage.
Yeah, it was wild. And that's part of what's going to make Conor McGregor a legend with all that stuff. That was some stuff and you were right there for it, Kevin, this is a good question for you. We're partnering up with Fanatics now. If you could have one autograph from any athlete ever, who would it be and why?
Not even a question, shadow of a doubt, Muhammad Ali.
That's so nice.
I have Muhammad Ali autographs, but I've never had him sign anything for me, right?
Yes.
If I could have him, just being around Muhammad Ali, I would be shaken, right? I mean, that's just me, right? All my life, when I was a kid, I was like 5 or 6 when he fought for the title the first time. And that fight was black and white and the whole, but I remember watching that and didn't really know who the guy was or anything, but there was something about him. And my whole life, his fight, back in the 70s, there was a show called Wide World of Sports. Howard Cosell was on, and it was huge. And Ali was always on that show. And so to grow up with this guy, the first time I met him, I shook. It was like I met God, right? Yeah. I was going. I'll tell you the quick story because I know we don't have a lot of time. But
no, go ahead.
I was walking into an athletic commission meeting, and Ali was there to testify on Mike Tyson's behalf. I did not. It was a surprise. Nobody knew Ali was going to testify. It was a Mike Tyson hearing, and I had started covering boxing just as Ali retired, so I never had the privilege to cover his fight. So I'm walking into this meeting and I see Gene Kilroy, who was a casino host at the MGM at that time, but he was also Ali's manager during much of his career.
Okay.
And he and Ali were friends from 1960 until the day Ali died. So Gene says to me, Kevin, come here. And if you know Gene, he's got one of these personalities. He's a guy you don't say no to. And I have to get in because the hearing's going to start and I have to know what's going on. But Gene says, come over here. And I turn and I walk around the corner of the building and there's Muhammad and his wife Lonnie sitting in a folding chair. And so I went like that. It was like I saw God, honestly. So I walked over to him, and that was a day that Muhammad couldn't really talk well.
Yeah.
He reaches and he grabs my head and he pulls my ear to his mouth. And he says, you must be the greatest based on what my friend is saying about you. And I almost died. I wanted to fall to the ground. And I went, yes, sir. And like I couldn't.
Oh, that's like that. So you met your hero and you were not disappointed.
It was everything that I could have hoped it would be and more. And what a man. And like I had to write his obit when he passed, and that like I was proud of the obit I wrote, and tens of millions of people read it. So I know it had, was out there, but like have to do that, right? That's one of the tough things in life, to be able to say we lost this unbelievable man. So that would be my autograph if I could get it in person. Muhammad Ali.
You know that he doesn't trust anybody that's nice to him, but not nice to the waiter, because that's how they would treat him if he was in there.
Right.
100%. All right. That's my favorite quote from him. I always mess it up a little bit, but you got my drift. Yeah. My favorite quote, because he's a humble man. And as a fighter, I know what that quote means. Like people, a lot of times they're respectful to me and they're nice, but I'm like, are they doing that because of what I achieved? Or if I was a regular Joe just doing this or that, would they give you the same respect? So I love that quote by Muhammad Ali.
And that's what I do. Like I knew you before George St. Pierre.
Yes.
You after George St. Pierre, right? And I like to think one of my things as a professional, there was no difference in how I treated Matt Serra from before George St. Pierre till after George St. Pierre.
Thank you. I thought you were going to go the route where I didn't get big-headed after becoming champion of the world, but you went a different route. But I'm with you on that. Only kidding, Kevin. Kevin, dude, I had such a good time. Listen, just because there's only so much time you could play golf. You said you do the golf. You like it?
I love it.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're gonna be doing now, just all day long on golf,
doing checking out the chicks, right?
Yeah, are you a married man, Kevin?
Divorced.
Well, listen, man.
We got divorced after 35 years.
Listen, all I know is Blue Chew. No, I'm messing around. Hey, have a good time out there, you man. Ow, ow, ow. Kevin, congrats on a phenomenal career. I'm gonna miss you. And listen. Just because I know you're still going to be watching. You love the sport.
Of course.
Why don't listen? Jimmy sometimes is away. Come back on here and be a guest host sometimes.
Whenever Matt Serra calls, I am there. You need me, I'm in, baby.
I'm going to do it. Hey, Kevin, is there anything you want to plug? Could they see you anywhere, or are you just going off on the golf abyss?
I am off. The one thing I would ask is if people go to keviniole.com and read my farewell column, because I got some really funny stories in there about some things. A great story with Mike Tyson, Meg Ryan, and myself. So you might want to read that one. That was a funny story. But things that happened in my life. That I have the Topuria story up on the top of the page, and on the left there's my farewell column, and it says in all caps farewell. So pick that up and check it out. I think people will enjoy it.
Kevin, congrats, my friend. I'm going to miss you. I will not go golfing with you, but I believe we will be seeing you on here with me covering our great sport.
I look forward to it, my friend.
All right.
Enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
And don't forget, Happy Gilmore 2's coming out to hype you up for your golf game.
We got to watch that.
All right, Kevin. Take care, buddy.
See you, brother. Thank you.
Congrats on everything.
Appreciate it.